Okay, welcome back to Daily Wrestling. Just a quick video I want to upload. First time using the new microphone, first time I've put my voice to a video on this channel. My name is Daniel. I was a promoter in the UK for 13 years and since then have gone on to promote some shows all around the world, probably around about 300 shows in total. As a result, I feel I can offer a bit of an insight into some of the thoughts that a promoter might give when it comes to promoting a show from the financial and logistics kind of aspect. In this video, I just want to cover this weekend's Progress Wrestling Super Strong Star 16 tournament. Now, Progress Wrestling have some brand new owners who have just taken over recently. I believe they were coming in from Wrestling Travel and they've bought pieces of both Progress and of TNT Wrestling up north. Now, the venue they're going to be running is the Electric Ballroom, which has a setup of around 700 for pro wrestling events. And back in the day, Progress Wrestling would sell that out almost immediately, with sellouts in the minutes rather than the hours or the days. But this event that's happening this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 3rd, 4th and 5th of June 2022, tickets are still on sale, and if you order your tickets through Hooked on Wrestling, you also get a free beer. So they're trying to do a bit of last minute advertising and a little hook just to get people in to see the show. Now, the reason that I'm doing a video on this is that as a promoter who's run multi-day tournaments before, there are some factors that you can look into from the logistics and the promotion and the finance aspect of running a multi-day tournament that perhaps fans won't take into account when they're thinking about who may go on to win this tournament. Now, the way that the structure of this tournament is, I believe, let me just bring up a past Progress Wrestling Super Strong Style 16. There we go. When you do a tournament over a certain amount of days, you have to think on each day how many times a wrestler will be wrestling. So if I go on to Progress Wrestling, so we go back to 2019 and we can see that in 2019 on the 4th of May, they did all of the first round matches on day number 1. Then on day number 2, they had the 4 quarterfinals on day 2, and on day 3 they had semi-finals and the final. So what you're thinking is, if you're booking someone who is an international name, for example, on this show, I would say John Morrison, aka they're calling him Johnny Progress, he's going to be the most expensive person on the show in terms of the fee that he will command. That to me is pretty obvious given that he's ex-WWE, and I personally have booked John Morrison in the past, so I knew what his fee was at that period of time. I think that was 2017. January 2017, and obviously he's gone back to WWE and he's done some AEW appearances since. His fee can only be on the rise. Generally, fees are on the rise. People are getting paid more now than they were when I was promoting full time back in the day, so people will be getting paid more. Now, if you're looking at having someone like John Morrison on your tournament, your multi-day tournament, well, they're running 3 days. He'll work, if he was to go through and advance to further rounds, he'd work 1 match on day 1, 1 match on day 2, and then potentially 2 matches on day 3. Unlikely that will happen, and I'll give you the reason why. If you're paying someone to appear, unless you've worked out a particularly special deal, generally speaking, if you're working more than 1 match, you're getting paid time and a half on your day fee to work that set. So I've had wrestlers in the past come in for, we did UK Super 8s, and in that format we often ran it on one evening, so that it'd be in between 1 and 3 matches each wrestler would have per evening. So if they work 1 match, they get their fee. Work 2 matches, you get time and a half. Work 3 matches, you get double. I think Damo is in a similar sort of boat. He will probably command a pretty decent fee as well, and he is working Warren Banks in the opening round. He's someone that I would expect to be there and about at the end. So I would expect Big Damo to lose in the opening round. We've got Jack Evans versus Johnny Progress. Jack's super versatile. Not volatile. Well, maybe volatile as well, but he's super versatile. and he can work anybody on day 2. So I would expect him to go out. Johnny Progress will probably stay in and make it through to day 2, potentially even day 3, but he will not be in the final, just for the reasons mentioned earlier. From an economics standpoint, even though it'd be great for whoever their champion is to beat him in the final, I would not expect that. I'd expect whoever beats him, potentially in the quarters or semis, to go on to win the thing. So you've got other international stars: Aramis, Ricky Shane Page, just those two by the looks of it, and Maggot from Germany, but he's not in the same situation as Aramis and Ricky Shane Page are. They're both international stars. Again, will be commanding a higher fee, but also by the same token, you've got to realise they're being brought in from a different country. Part of the cost of bringing them over, when you finance everything in, is their expenses for their flight and their hotel and such, so on and so forth. So once you've got them in the country, you're going to want to get as many matches out of them as possible. It's a different situation to a Johnny Progress. With like a Jack Evans, a Ricky Shane Page, or an Aramis, potentially their fee will be closer to a regular British wrestler's fee, or one of the regular members of the card. As a result, I would expect Aramis to advance further into the tournament, into further rounds. He's got Robbie X in the opening round, who I don't believe has been in Progress for a very long time. And so I'd expect Robbie to handily disappear out of the tournament in round number 1, so that they can get some more exciting Aramis matches in round 2 and potentially 3. Now, he's obviously someone who hasn't, I don't believe he's wrestled here in the UK before. He's definitely not wrestled on a show I've ever seen in the UK before, so it's going to be somewhat exciting. He's potentially someone who fans on the opening day will enjoy seeing and therefore get behind, so he could be someone who really picks up throughout the course of the weekend. Gmoney versus Ricky Shane Page. I would generally say that you'd want Ricky Shane Page to have as many matches in the tournament as possible. Again, he's the international name. He's not going to cost you the same as Johnny Progress, but he's going to cost you more than a regular British wrestler would. But you're going to want to have as many of his matches to keep eyes on the tournament for the on-demand upload later on. Now, the winner of this tournament does become the Progress World Champion, and they, generally speaking, have very, very, very good world champions in their lineage. I could see Ricky Shane Page as a Progress champion. I couldn't see Gmoney as a Progress champion, personally, but again, it's all subjective to the person that is promoting and running the event and the company and the storyline. A couple more matches that I haven't been over yet. Kid Lycos versus Maggot. Now, Kid Lycos is featured heavily into their shows. You've got to imagine he's going through to a later round. They've got a really great match in Dean Allmark versus Chris Ridgway in the opening round. Chris has been more heavily featured on Progress longer term, but as a result, he's maybe had matches against some of these people already. I don't know. I still think Chris Ridgway will go through, and Dean Allmark will go out, which is a shame because I'd love to see Dean go further in this tournament. But I think Chris Ridgway will advance. We've got Malik versus Callum Newman. I know very little about both of them, but they're pushing Callum's faction. He has as 4 guys in that faction. Callum was the chosen one from that group to do this to enter this tournament. I would expect him to get at least an opening round win. It seems most logical. And I've got Charlie Dempsey versus Charles Crowley. Again, don't know much about either of those two guys except that Dempsey is Regal's son, William Regal's son. He's signed to NXT UK, and if what I'm hearing about NXT UK is true and that it is disbanding after September, then it could well be that he will get a strong showing in this tournament to establish him with Progress fans so that they can continue using him once his contract availability allows them to. If the likes of Charlie Dempsey was to become contractually available, with him being William Regal's son and getting relatively well featured on NXT UK, as well as the experience that he would have had from wrestling good people on NXT UK in a good setting, I would expect him to maybe get a good showing. I don't know how well they're featuring Charles Crowley. I know they mention him on a lot of social media posts. So again, this one, it could go either way. I can't really pick that one. If we're talking people to go right through to the end and win the tournament, they've just had an international wrestler in Jonathan Gresham as their world champion, and it didn't go so well for them. Obviously, they had to strip him of the title effectively because he signed with AEW to work on the Ring of Honor brand. And one of the things that I know about champions across multiple different countries and companies at the moment is that if you're the champion, you will not be losing to anybody in certain situations, but definitely not to people that aren't under the same contracted brand as you. So if he, for example, was to face someone from Ring of Honor or AEW in a different promotion, he might be given the leeway to lose that match. He was not given the leeway, obviously, to lose against the likes of Gmoney in the UK, and so they had to work a way of getting the title off of Jonathan Gresham. And in doing so, maybe they feel burned by having an international champion. So I would immediately discount anybody who is not full-time living in the UK from winning this tournament because of the stipulation that the world champion is now the winner of this tournament will become the new world champion. So that leaves the likes of Robbie X, Charles Dempsey, Charles Crowley, Callum Newman. None of these guys are winning. It's not happening. You've really got a very finite group that can actually go all the way. So hopefully they're clever enough to realise this, have some great opening round and second round matches, and then fill up the semi-finals and final with people that have a realistic chance of winning. The likes of Kid Lycos, I believe he's a heel in progress. The likes of him being in the final would be a great decision because he could well win it. He's someone who they could decide to put the title on. So it gives, when you get to the final, if for example it was Maggot versus Chris Ridgway in the final, with all due respect to Maggot, and I've never seen him wrestle. I know he comes from Germany. He's not winning, so it would take the suspense and away from the final. Whereas if you put two people in that have a potential chance of winning, like an underdog Callum Newman versus a heel Kid Lycos, or a Chris Ridgway, or indeed a Warren Banks, who is, I would say, the person who is going to win this tournament. I think it's his breakout tournament. They've given him a title shot before, where a lot of people were pushing for him to win the title against Jonathan Gresham back then. Now, with what we know in hindsight, he couldn't because Gresham can't lose. As a result, maybe this is their way. Potentially they wanted that to happen at that time. It couldn't. It was on their anniversary show. So instead of doing it on the anniversary show, another way of doing it in a big way is by having Warren Banks win this big tournament with lots of big international names. And so here's my prediction to win on this Sunday, the 5th of June 2022. Warren Banks is my pick to win the Super Strong Style 16 2022 tournament. I wish Progress all the best. I don't know the people that run it, but the more good events they've got in the UK, the more likely people are going to want to start training to be wrestlers in the UK. The stronger the UK scene will be. I feel at the moment it's at its weakest it's been since I started watching British wrestling back in 2002, 2001 with the FWA. But hopefully it can continue to build, and hopefully with good training systems, good promoters, good events happening, people will want to get involved and they'll want to start training, and the next generation will come through. And who knows, in 5 years' time, some of the people that are sitting in the crowd watching this event, they might be on this event in 5 years' time. So thank you for listening to me ramble on about Super Strong Style 16. It's a Progress Wrestling event in the UK this weekend. I've given you some thoughts, I've given you some background. If you did like this little mini commentary, I say mini, but it's gone a lot longer than I expected. If you did like this commentary, please give the video a thumbs up, pop a comment in the comment box below, and if you really enjoyed it and want to help the channel out, we've just launched our membership. It's $2.99 or £2.99 a month. You can cancel any time. There are some perks to it, but basically it's just a thank you and a way of helping us earn a bit of extra money, as our YouTube ad revenue is not the best, but we do enjoy making the channel and bring you the content. So if you enjoy it back, feel free to join up as a member. If you are in the UK, enjoy the Queen's Jubilee weekend. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.